Big updates from Dan Campbell as it is officially Washington week. Start with Miles Frazier, begin his clock today, that 21-day window, returning to practice, and then hopefully being activated. Thought he looked like Kevin Zettler coming out, and then we drafted him. I think this is a starting level type of player in the NFL that I think can get there at some point this season, but this does make me optimistic if he's starting his clock now, take somebody's role, and get some real snaps this year because, as Dan noted, Christian Mahogany has a broken bone. He may not be out for the entire season, but it's going to be a while. Look into everything on the offensive line. They're going to start with the Odie stepping in, I would assume, at left guard, Ratledge at right guard. Tristan Colon seems like the next guy up that could mix this up a bit here. Getting some reps, it sounds like, at center. Maybe that moves then Graham Glasgow to the guard position, or maybe that's simply as, hey, we're just going to go with Tristan Colon at guard. I think it's worth giving a shot at, even if that means putting him at center, because I think Tristan Colon is another starting level type of player. KO'd, I know he could do a good job as a people mover, just like Mahogany. We had inconsistencies there in pass protection anyway, so I honestly don't know that the baseline is going to fall that much to this point with KO stepping in. And on the ends, I think that's the area you want to attack this team with the run game, is attack those defensive ends. Saw Jalen Holmes struggle a bit this past week for Washington. I don't know if either tackle is going to be available this week, which is concerning, but the Lions have went out practice squad. Chris Hubbard, who 2024 was with the New York Giants, playing that left tackle position for a few games. Now, hey, he played 4 games, gave up 28 pressures. He just gets pushed back into the pocket a lot. But there is success you see as a run blocker. He plays pretty low. He's a really nice athlete, pretty fluid as a mover. Rookie from Boston College that was an undrafted free agent, played his preseason, Jack Conley with the New England Patriots. That is a big man. He's got a massive frame. I don't think he's the most reactive athlete, but again, pretty smooth mover from what we've seen. Sustainability is pretty noticeable as well. The urgency that he plays with off the line and the proactiveness that he plays with in his footwork, though I think if you left him on an island, there could be some problems. That's on top of having Dan Skipper, who could step in this week, and Nite Mutai is back, who played for the Lions in this year's preseason. Did a lot of good for the Lions in this year's preseason. Another familiar face that could step right into that left guard role as well. Lions didn't make a trade, financially, draft asset. He said there can be good players out there, but it has to check all of the boxes. And a lot of the conversation comes down to, okay, that's a good player, but is he better than the next guy that we have up at that position? To go to a player that doesn't really move the needle, I would say, beyond what we have there right now. A lot of times when the trade deadline hits, you hear all the names possible. And we talked about a lot of guys because you want to hit on everything. But there is a point in time where you look at it and you say, I don't know if this is that much better than what we already have. Maybe it is a little bit. Maybe there's something different that he brings to the table. But is it to the extent that actually makes sense to be like, we're just going to give a 5th-round pick for it just to make a move? You look at it as it's not worth just doing that to do it. Dan Campbell specifically noted Khalil Dorsey for special teams, DJ Reed, Malcolm Rodriguez, and Josh Paschal as players that would be returning. Through Josh Paschal in there gave me a lot of optimism because we seemingly haven't gotten any updates on him in a while. Great to see Davenport at some point this season. I still have Wingo, who's been a healthy scratch to this point, and Khalil Dorsey could be one of our returners, and that could shake things up as well, potentially opposite of a guy like Sione Vaki. It's a great opportunity to get back on track, and Dan Campbell was avoiding any kind of panic when he spoke to the media this week that we just need to settle down.